And we're not on air. There we go. And howdy do. Well, the Beer Whisperer Pub is open for the first time in 2016. And pulling up a stool here at the bar is the Red Rooster. Say hi, Red.
All right, Tom. How's everybody doing?
So far, so good. Y'all survived New Year's?
Well, I had to work New Year's, so I definitely survived New Year's. It was a pretty short one for me. Well, because I called you actually as I was
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
home, and then I
I
kind
did
of
a,
popped in on you.
I did a marathon session.
Yeah, you and your guests seemed like you were having a very good time, so that was great.
So we were talking about at a different time. You and I were talking about pepper beers. So and I just I didn't think I had any. I checked my fridge and I had a habanero sculpin on hand, 7%, 70 IBUs. It's basically an IPA that adds habanero to it. It's a big kind of tropical fruit salad. You know that big fruity IPA that adds the habanero. So what are you drinking today?
I'm drinking a pepper beer as well, and it also happens to be an IPA. I have one that's called Welcome to Scoville Jalapeno IPA from the Jailbreak Brewing Company of Laurel, Maryland. This one is 74 IBUs, so 74 international business units. It is brewed with jalapeno peppers in cilantro.
Now, is that the same beer that Eric brought to me?
Yes, this is the one that
Okay.
Eric sent to you, and you did a video on it, and you blew a
Yeah,
load.
I love the hell out of that beer. I thought it was brilliant. I mean, I would drink that by the six pack, boy. I thought that's a great summer beer.
Yeah, I got a six pack of it actually. It's in my market, and I got to tell you, it's impressive. You really do get the hop bitterness, but it's one of these beers where the hops are up front, then all of a sudden, midway through, you get hit with the jalapeno and that peppery bite of cilantro. And I got to tell you, it's just fantastic. I mean, this thing is just a natural with Mexican food. It's perfect. I mean, you could cook chili with this, or you could
Yeah.
match this with enchiladas, or tacos, or burritos, you name it. What a great beer.
Well, I mean, someone I know we both like to cook. As I was drinking, I kept thinking, man, if I had a six pack, I'd love to have two of them to pour over a big pork butt and let that sit for about 24 hours. That'd be some nice pork to use for carnitas.
Oh, carnitas, and if you were gonna make chili verde,
Oh
that
yeah,
would work.
yeah. There you go. It'd be great for chile verde. Yeah. Oh yeah,
That
you're
would be
right.
perfect with chili verde, and that would probably work with maybe it would work with making al pastor as well. So it's really really a food friendly beer, especially Mexican cuisine, because you really get that fresh jalapeno bite, and that punch of cilantro just takes it over the top. I mean, this is just a fantastic chili beer. And what we were talking about earlier about chili beers is, this one time chili beers was kind of considered, a gimmick. It was considered, a novelty. There really weren't very many examples of it on the market. If you go back into the late 80s, early 90s, even mid 90s, early 2000s, you didn't see too many examples of chili beer. I can remember Ed's Cave Creek chili beer being one, and the novelty with that was they had an actual Serrano chili pepper in the bottle. Now that was the base beer for that really wasn't that great, and you got a lot of heat. But I was thinking back, and probably the very first really good chili beer I had was in the late '90s, and it was from a brew pub in Northern Virginia. There's a chain of them. They've got three locations. They're called Sweetwater Tavern. They've got like a Western theme, and they brew a Chipotle porter. It's a porter, an English porter base, but it's brewed with chipotles, which are smoked chili peppers. And I got to tell you, that combination of the chocolate and the chili, this is before the whole mole beer stuff started to get real popular with, all the other ingredients like with the cinnamon and all that. But that chocolate chipotle combo was just phenomenal.
Right about the time that Cave Creek came out, 'cause I think that was the first one that I had. I was doing some brewing at the time, and I wanted to do something similar. Uh, so what I did was I used jalapenos in the boil, but like that Cave Creek, I tossed a Serrano in the bottle. But what I couldn't figure out was how to not to keep it from getting hotter. Well, after about a month, that beer was great. After 2 months, it was great. But after 6 months, it kept getting hotter and hotter. But I used crystal hops in both as both bittering and for aroma, and which is it's not a real bitter hop, but I worked perfect with that beer. But when you pop that top, it had the aroma of a green chili enchilada.
Wow, that
It
sounds
was
great.
amazing. Yeah. Only a few people could drink it because it did get hot after a while, but it was nice.
Yeah, and I remember one of the other early examples that I had when I was out in Denver, and I went and visited Wine Coop in Denver, which is a very legendary brewery in Chicago. Matter of fact, John Hickenlooper, who was the founder and owner of that brewery, became the mayor of Denver, and he is now the governor of the state of Colorado. So Colorado's got a beer guy, and that's a very great beer state. But I remember having it was called Patty's Chili Beer, and what I liked about that one is it was another example of one that had a lot of chili flavor, not just heat. I think it was actually made with Anaheims, which are really, a kind of a mild chili.
Very
But
mild, yeah.
yeah, but like this beer with the jalapeno, you get that real fresh, like green chili flavor. And
Hmm.
anybody who likes chili peppers and can appreciate the actual flavor of chili, not just heat, would love that beer. And it's a shame Dale Roberts, who's out in Colorado, was supposed to join us tonight, but apparently he couldn't come for whatever reason. But he was going to crack his bottle of Stone Punishment live and drink it. So he did drink it, and I guess he didn't find it to be all that hot. I guess Dale is a real chili head.
Yeah, I eat a lot of spice too. I think there's a problem that a lot of these beers have. Um, at some point, some of them become overpowering. Not necessarily that they're too hot, but I mean, they kind of become kind of one and done novelties. You can't really have more than one because you at that point you're just tasting the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's true. Chili beers, again, started as a novelty. They were a novelty. They were few and far between, but they have become a legitimate beer style. I believe, they are a category now at the Great American Beer Festival. You have chili beers that are judged against, you know, hundreds and hundreds of other chili beers, and as well as I the variety of chilies that are used and the combinations and styles they use in now go from A to Z. So I think
Yeah,
that's a
I
good thing.
agree. Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
agree with you. It is a legitimate style now. There are just too many of different. I mean, at first you had the Cave Creek, was basically a light lager with a chili pepper in it. But now you've got so many different. I mean, just local to me, I've got Mother's doing Holy Mole, which is basically a brown ale. Uh, it's kind of mole inspired. And then I've got Piney River that does their hot date that uses dates and chipotle to season a beer. So I mean, there are a lot of options.
oh yeah, and the beer world's a very big world, and I've always said there's room for every beer in the beer world. Now, some people like to say chili beers and beers with adjuncts in them, and I'm not talking adjuncts to cheapen and lighten a beer like corn and rice, but I'm talking
Mhm.
about chilies and chocolates and
Yeah.
cherries and peanut butter and all these things we're starting to see now. All these adjuncts used in beers now is legitimate because you have to remember hops at one time was considered a gimmick. Hops was a spice that was put in beer that wasn't used originally.
Hmm.
If you look at the history, hops were outlawed in Britain. There's a brewery in Asheville, North Carolina. It's called Wicked Weed, and if you go into Wicked Weed, King Henry VIII supposedly hated hops. He called hops a wicked and pernicious weed. So
That's funny.
The history of putting herbs, spices, berries, I mean, fruits, I mean, you name it. It's something that has, a very, very long tradition going back literally thousands of years. I mean, look at Dogfish Head when they had the beer was called Midas Touch, brewed with like
Mhm.
muscat grapes and honey. I mean, that's from an ancient, ancient recipe. So adjuncts in beers and beers that people now might think have all these wacky ingredients. No, not really when you think about it. I mean, look at Belgium, Tom. Look at
Yeah.
all the adjunct, the cherries and peaches and all the different things used in creeks and all the different styles in Belgium, candy sugar. I mean, you
Mhm.
name it. Belgium has a very, very long tradition of using adjuncts. So, these beers are here and they're here to stay. And I think it's a good thing. I mean, if you don't like beers with peanut butter or, what else is the newest one? Coconut or you name it.
Coconut's big right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like the experiment with these things. I like trying these different things. If it's not for you, then you know what? You don't have to drink it. Do a single and be done with it.
Yeah, I agree. For me, when I start labeling beers novelty is when you start adding, well, adjuncts or artificial flavors in order to become something else. I know you and I disagree on this one point. I refer to the Rogue Voodoo Donut series as novelty because they're trying to turn something into something else. And to me, that's the very definition of a novelty. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but if I'm trying to make a beer that tastes like a donut, to me, that's a novelty.
Oh, well, I would agree. I would agree with you that that's a novelty, but you have to understand, and this is where we part ways a little, but we really are. We're still on the same page. What's the brewer's intent here? They're working with a legendary donut place in Portland called Voodoo Donut. Okay, and
Hmm.
what they're trying to do is replicate as closely as they can with ingredients within the parameters of beer to
Yeah.
make the donuts. So when they did the, take for instance the maple bacon. Okay,
Hmm.
they were trying to replicate the maple bacon bar. They
Yeah.
used some things in the maple bacon that maybe some other brewers wouldn't. But they're trying to replicate the donut. They're trying to make a beer taste as close as they can to a donut. Some people will be like, well, why did they pick this, this, and this? Well, the other one was another one that they did with peanut butter and banana. They're
Yeah.
going for the flavors and aromas of the donut, and I think the Rogue Voodoo Donut series is genius because they are trying to replicate the donut. And if you look at it that in that text and you say, okay, well, I can see what they're trying to do, then you can enjoy them. Now, I think the brewers, even at Rogue, might say to themselves, "Well, this wouldn't be the aroma or in flavor that I would pick for a beer that I would put out with the Rogue name on it per se." But again, Voodoo Donut is involved. They're trying to make something that is as close as they can to the donuts. And if you understand what they're doing there, it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy those beers.
Yeah, you know what? I've kind of come around a little bit, and I'll tell you why. I used to think these beers were bad for craft beer because I listened to I listened to some macro drinkers, or I'll overhear them in a beer store saying, "Oh, that's those craft beer drinkers. They just want that peanut butter chocolate, asparagus marshmallow beer. They're not drinking real beer." But then I see other people that wouldn't necessarily buy craft beer picking up, Four Hands Absence of Light chocolate peanut butter stout. You know, so it is a good thing for craft beer because it's bringing other people to it. I've gotten my sister to try stuff like that she wouldn't typically try because it's different. It has a different flavor. It's not what she envisions beer to be. So yeah, and I think a lot of folks are drawn to craft beer because of these crazy concoctions.
Well, it is, if you put it in the context of what it is, they are gimmicky, they are specialty, they are a niche within a niche.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Actually you hit the nail on the head. It is a niche within a niche. Yeah.
and if you go into it with that mindset, know that they're a niche within the niche, then you're going to expect that, okay, I'm going to get some aromas and flavors that I'm not used to getting with quote unquote real beer or regular beer.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I like the variety and the diversity of the beer world. I can drink a Helles, I can drink an ESB, I can drink a Belgian wit beer, and I can drink a chocolate peanut butter beer. I like it all. I understand what beer is and the different styles. So I don't have a problem with all these off the wall beers. Like I said, I like them. They're fun for me. And if I don't like them, well, guess what? I won't drink them anymore. So there's to it.
Yeah. Why do so many people miss that point? You don't have to bag on it. If you don't want it, don't drink it. Buy something else. Yeah, I agree.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, hey, I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody what they can and can't drink. If people want to drink what they like, let them drink what they
Yeah.
like. It doesn't affect me one iota.
Well,
But
you and I have had a conversation before too. I don't, there are those beer snobs that we've all ran into in pubs and bars, taverns, saloons, that will make fun of the macro drinker. And I don't care what somebody else drinks, but don't come to me and tell me you're drinking a quality beer. If that's what you enjoy drinking, that's fine. I mean, if you like a fast food hamburger, that's fine. If you like sardines on a cracker, that's fine. But don't tell me that sardine on a cracker is sushi. Don't tell me that fast food burger is gourmet. And don't tell me that beer with corn and rice and corn syrup or who knows what else is a quality beer. If that's what you enjoy, fine. But don't try to convince me it's quality because it's not.
no, it isn't. And the problem is, it goes both ways. You've got people that drink swill, and they'll knock on people that drink craft beer, and you've got a
Yeah,
bunch of
it
jerk
does.
offs that are craft beer snobs, and there is an element in the craft beer world that has always been there. It's a bunch of pretentious jerk offs that think they're better than everybody else, and want to try to dictate what other people can drink. I say to people that even give people like that the time of day, just ignore them.
Yep,
You
I
know,
agree.
people are gonna be people. You're gonna meet people in your life that you like, and you're gonna meet people that you dislike. What I don't get, what some people try to say, is, "Oh, this person dislikes me because of my choice of beverage." No, I dislike certain people because I think they're fucking assholes in plain English. And if I think you're a fucking asshole, I don't give a fuck what you drink. I don't want anything to do with you. So, take a long walk off a short pier. Just leave me the fuck alone. All right. So it's got nothing to do with, well, people in the craft beer culture are snobby, or, the reverse, people who drink macro beer don't understand the craft beer people and they think craft beer people are jerks. Look, people are people. You meet people that you like and you meet people that you dislike, and there are some legitimate reasons why you dislike people. And I won't even open up that can of worms. But let's just say this: net personas and personas that people create on the internet doesn't necessarily translate to what somebody is like in reality.
That's true. Yeah. Hey, let me change the subject slightly real quick before I run out of beer. I don't know what it is about you, Red, but every time we get together at the pub, I tend to drink quicker than normal. So I want to jump in before I ran out of beer completely and give you a quick tasting note on this. I kind of alluded to it earlier before I had a drink, but the aromas are basically, again, that big kind of tropical fruit salad IPA. I mean, you got a whole lot of mango, passion fruit, some pineapple, grapefruit going on. And on the back end of the aroma, you really feel that habanero, those peppers just kind of grow. It starts out small and just kind of grows on you. It's the same thing with the flavor. As I take my last swallow there, is you get all that big fruit hoppy goodness right up front, and then right at the end you get that jalapeno heat, or not jalapeno but habanero heat. Now this thing is spicy, but it's not crazy spicy. It does kind of grow on you. Again, like you said, I mean, this beer would be perfect with a plate of enchiladas or chilaquiles or whatever, or even chilirano, whatever you're in the mood for. It Ballast Point just got to my neck of the woods, and that's a fine pepper beer.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Now this beer is a little different from the one you're drinking. This is in jalapeno and cilantro. And what
Hmm.
I like about it, in the nose, you really get that green chili aroma. It isn't like so overwhelmingly spicy. So you get that, and you're getting a little bit of malt and a little bit of hops. And then when you drink it on the palate, you really get that punch of hop bitterness, but it's followed by that jalapeno heat. And then right at the back end, that peppery cilantro hits you and carries into the finish. Now there's a nice malt presence in it. It's got a good malt body. I mean, this beer is amber in color,
Hmm.
and it's just an all around just great beer. When you think about it, it's 74 IBUs, which is pretty hoppy, and it's got a lot of malt to back up the hop
Yeah.
bitterness and to carry the jalapeno and the cilantro. It's 6.9% alcohol by volume, so this isn't for the timid. This is a pretty strong beer, but you really can't taste any alcohol strength in it. So this does go down easy. And when
No,
you are
it does.
drinking at the
It's
pub,
amazing.
when you're drinking at the pub, Tom, you drink quick. And I'm already on my second, and
That's
this
right. Well,
second
I'm not
one.
actually. I'm kind of switching on you. How I like to go back beer to whiskey. I just got this whiskey for Christmas. It's Hellcat Maggie. It's one of those kind of novelty Irish whiskeys, but I had to buy it for the bottle and the shot glasses it came with. But back to the pepper beer point, my recollection on that beer that you're drinking was that the aromas were just amazing. That's what knocked me out about the beer to start with, is that the aromas are just simply gorgeous on that thing.
Yeah, go revisit your review of this because I remember you really, really liked this one. And
Oh yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great.
yeah, well, like I said, we put a box together for you. I'll make sure I throw a couple in for you, more than one, so you have a couple, so you can cook with one and you can drink one.
Yeah, I've got some stuff I've been meaning to get out to you guys. Mother's Milk just came out yesterday, actually, and I went and picked some up today. So I want to do a second session. I'm going to pop that. So I don't know if you're able to come back to the pub or not, but when I open up the bar again, I'm going to have a MILF.
Oh, definitely, and I'm glad you will be drinking a MILF because I will be drinking a stout too. Because I will be drinking a beer that I have not bought in a bottle probably in about 12 or 13 years, and that is Guinness Extra Stout. For
Oh,
years,
awesome.
for years on the North American market, Guinness Extra Stout was contract brewed in Canada by Labatt or whoever. I mean, I guess I could go on the internet and look at all that and give you all the specs and just parrot all that stuff. But you're a smart enough guy, Tom. You could look that all up yourself. But Guinness Extra Stout is now back on the market, the Irish brewed one in on the U.S. market, and I refuse to buy the Canadian stuff because I tried it and I didn't really think it was that great. It was okay for a stout, but for me, Guinness has got to be brewed in Ireland. I mean, for me, and I'm just speaking for myself now, if it isn't Irish brewed, it isn't really Guinness. And I've drank all different kinds of variants of Guinness over the years. I've had, Guinness Foreign Extra Stout.
Hmm.
I've had the Nigerian brewed Guinness. I've
Yeah.
had the Guinness Special Export, commissioned by John Martin. That was at one point just for the Belgian market, but I understand now it's in England and it's in a couple other markets. So I'm very familiar with Guinness. I'm a huge Guinness drinker. As a matter of fact, I think of all the beers in the world, I think I've drank more Guinness Stout than any other beer. So I'm really, really happy that this is back. But the thing that I don't like is if you go to the website for Guinness and you go to America to the US page, it looks like the foreign extra stout is gone. And I'm hoping that isn't the case because if the foreign extra stout disappears, I'd be like, all right, well, bring back the brewing of
Yeah.
extra to Canada because I don't want the FES to go away because
I
right
love
now
that FES.
the FES is the best bottled stout that we
Yes.
can get here in North America.
I agree. I think that stuff's amazing.
And I really think Guinness, if they had some foresight, they would see that look, America has such a vibrant, beer market and so many tastes to cater to. Why not put all the variants of Guinness on the U.S. market? And I really believe they would all sell. There are differences between the FES and the SES. Uh, if you've had both, you can tell they're totally different animals. Of course, they're similar because it's all stout, but they are different. So let's hope the foreign extra stout has not gone off the U.S. market.
I hope not. Well, Red, as we end this session, or do you have any last words as I finish my chilled shot of Hellcat Maggie here?
No, like I said, let's just discuss the Guinness and the stout and the stout that you're drinking, and let me finish this. Welcome to Scoville Jalapeno IPA, and then we'll pick it up from there. Okay.
Hey, I want to thank everybody that came into the pub, and we will be back. Thanks, Red, for pulling up a stool with me.
Thank you, Tom.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in just a bit.